turning a disad into an advantage for the aff. So in the same way you have uniqueness and links on your advantage, you also can make a disad into that by saying turning both the link and the uniqueness in the opposite way. Do you have to do the same thing when you impact turning? Do you need to win the uniqueness debate when you're impact turning? No, exactly. Alright, so we'll talk about how to order a speech. What do you think should come first? Yeah.
Procedural and case.
Yeah, procedurals. I always put procedurals first, like HSTEC or T. Why should we put those first?
If you lose those, you automatically lose.
Exactly. If you drop T, you're done. You're just like, there's not a way to come back. Except for in some cases. But in most cases, if you drop T, you've lost the base. What should come after T arguments or procedurals? Case. Why should case come second?
Because those are most procedurals.
No?
That's your biggest offense against the negative.
Exactly. You have read, don't forget that you have read in 8-minute 1AC already, which is theoretically offense against any strategy the negative is employing. It's offense against the critique. It's a way to outweigh the disad impacts. It's an impact to a solvency deficit on a counterplan. It's an impact to a solvency deficit on a critique. It is very important that you win the case. Like I said earlier, you can take out an advantage. You cannot go for one. You can take and choose down into one. But you need to make sure that you answer that second. What should come after? Procedurals and then case. Okay, so the reason why we thought procedurals came first is because if you lose that, you lose the debate. And then the second argument we said should come first is the case, which is the largest offense against the negative. So, what do you think should go third? Counterplans. Why should counterplans come second? Yeah.
They can solve your advantages. They can have an advantage. They can avoid exercise on the plan.
Exactly. So your case is the biggest offense against the negative strategy, and the counterplan theoretically should solve your largest offense. Yes, case is important, but almost as equally important is that you win that the counterplan does not solve your case. Or some other argument like a permutation or the reason why it's not competitive. The counterplans are very important because if you lose the counterplan, then you don't have another way to generate offense against the negative. What should come after that? Okay, exactly. Well, I was a little bit unclear. I think when I say counterplan, that should involve critiques as well. Counterplan / critique, very important. After that, I think, yeah, what?
Did you say, in essence, that if you crush your counterplan, that's offense, defense, and offense?
Pardon me?
I mean, you're going with everything, which is most offensive arguments, kind of first, right? So, if you beat that your counterplan, you not only, in a way, that's also defense and offense.
Yeah, a little bit. So you can go this way. So we think of the case as offense against the negative, right? Our advantages are something we can weigh against the negative. The counterplan, the importance or the reason why people read counterplans is to mitigate that offense, right? The counterplans attempt to solve the aff, right? So if we don't win, so if negative wins the counterplan, that means that they have mitigated our largest piece of offense against negative strategy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. So the next thing, only thing left is, Disad. Everyone's so sad and quiet. I'm tired. That's it. I can relate. So How do you, so let's say there's two disads left in the debate. Which one should you pick first?
The one that has all people.
Maybe. There's one more way to determine this. If you're losing one, disads are sometimes what for counterplans? Net benefits. Right? So I always put the net benefit to a counterplan over a disad that's not a net benefit to a counterplan. Why do you think that's true? Okay, why would a disad that's a net benefit to a counterplan be more threatening than a disad that's not a net benefit? Yeah.
Because if you use the net benefit infringement, there's no reason why the content can be quoted off, right?
Yeah, that's good. So that's the reason why I should put the competitive the net benefit first. Why should we put the other disad last?
Because if you take out the net benefit, it shows that the counterplan still links into the disad and it makes the counterplan go away, essentially.
That's a really good argument to put on the counterplan, but not necessarily an argument why you should put the disad above a reason for the net benefit over another disad. What do you think?
I just have a question, how CPs are, I guess they're in the order, since the net benefit, say for example, you're taking the approach to take out the net benefit, to take out the CP, so then wouldn't you want to, readjust your order to, have the net benefit first, or, besides,
Okay,
adjust it, or...
I would say that some people might be in your camp, but a lot of people are kind of siding on what I'm saying here, that since the case is the biggest offense against any sort of negative strategy, you really want to protect that in most instances. And so a counterplan is very threatening to that because it can mitigate the entirety of that offense. So for example, let's say there's a counterplan that we entered and we put a lot of solvency deficits on that. Those solvency deficits don't matter if I've not won the case first, right? You have to win and impact the solvency deficits. So a lot of times that's a way that you can end up weighing your case against the net benefit to the counterplan, and a lot of times you're going to be in better shape. In order to, theoretically, since you read the same math for multiple tournaments, and the negative just keeps on changing their strategies to beat other affirmatives, most of the time the app just knows more about their app than the negative. So on that same vein of thought, why would you put a net benefit to a counterplan over a disad that's not a net benefit? Yeah.
It's harder to win on a disad alone, opposed to a counterplan.
Yeah, why is that?
Because you're the whole weight of your app versus one disad.
Perfect. That's exactly right. Against a disad that's not a net benefit, you have the ability to just outweigh the disad with the case advantage, which you put second in your order, right? You have the ability to do impact calculus and those types of things in order to beat back the impact to this other disad. Whereas when this has a net benefit to a counterplan, that's sometimes implicated on whether or not the counterplan solves the case, how much the counterplan solves, the risk of the net benefit works versus the counterplan solves all the case. Right? It's harder to win case outweighs on a disad that's a net benefit versus a disad that's not. Why is that? Why is it harder to win case outweighs on a disad that's a net benefit to a counterplan versus one that's not? Yeah.
Because the net benefit also gains some solvency through the counterplan, which means that you're weighing partial part of the plan versus part of the plan with the net benefit versus the plan.
Yeah, exactly. So when you are going for this has a net benefit to a counterplan, this clearly has the counterplan that should solve for a large portion of your app, right? So you only have the ability to weigh a part of your app that the counterplan doesn't solve for against an entirety of a disad. Part of your app versus the whole disad, and it's an uphill battle. Not to say that you can't win that, but that means that you should probably spend a little bit more time on it in your speeches in order to get back onto square one. Alright. Before we move on to shadow flowing, let's just talk about one more second about, this is kind of unrelated, it's about earlier in my lecture that I forgot to mention, but how to extend an argument in the 1AR. And the way we kind of teach it in my lab and the way that I always think about it when I am giving a 1AR is I think about it in terms of the 3 R's. And while we're talking about this, keep in mind what I said earlier about embedded clash. All of these statements should include embedded clash. So the first R is reference. You should reference the evidence that your partner already read in 2AC. Why? Not a hard question. Because your partner already read the 2AC. Your partner's already spent the time in the 2AC reading a piece of evidence, you should extend it. When you're extending a piece of evidence, what do you have to keep in mind? A claim and a warrant. What is a warrant?
It's something that proves the claim.
It proves what?
The claim.
Yeah, it is a reason why the claim is true. That's very important. So, what's more persuasive to you? Option number 1. Extend across the Davidson evidence from the 2AC. Extend across the Davidson evidence from the 2AC. The negative conceded it. That means we win this. Versus, extend across our Davidson from the 2AC. It says that Skipta will not pass because of TA battles from the fact that Obama doesn't have any political capital. Which one is more persuasive? The second one. What about, extend across our 2AC evidence, it says that Skipta won't pass because of TA battles and the fact that Obama doesn't have any political capital. Alright, you get that one? Versus, extend the 2AC Davidson evidence that says that Skipta won't pass because TA battles mean that Republicans aren't willing to budge on this issue, which means that Obama's political capital will not be able to get this passed before it's due. The first one?
Yeah, first one.
Alright, well, the second one's supposed to be better. I stuttered a little bit, which might be why you thought that one. The second one, it was a little better because it had a few more warrants. Something you want to keep in mind is also word economy, which is something I failed a little bit about in my second option. The second R is refute. I think there's 2 components to refute. The first one is I try to find something wrong in my opponent's evidence. What are some things that can be wrong in your opponent's evidence?
Ununderlined portions.
Yeah, that's good. I'm not going to write that down. I'll write it down.
Offer qualifications.
Qualifications. What else? This is especially true on uniqueness claims on this ads. Sorry?
When the card was, when it was written.
Yeah, when it was written. What else? This one's a little bit trickier, but it comes with, in what perspective was the evidence written? Whose opinions